What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Outfielder Podcast, episode 135, presented by Sensibly Loud Media. I am your host, J-Mac, a.k.a. Founder Numero Uno, and I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Popfly himself, Founder Numero Dos, Ben.
9 or 19 people were fisted.
Baseball, Ben, what's going on, man?
There was an absolutely brilliant moment, not where 9 or 19 people were fisted. No, where as the instant, so Justin and I just did about 16 and a half minutes of pre-prep. It's light lifting, but while the opening music started, my wife was like, hey, when I make popcorn for the kids, how long do I microwave it for?
Awesome.
So if you noticed me in our live stream looking off stage left.
You looked off kilter a little bit. How long did you stay?
Well, the popcorn button doesn't do it.
No.
So I like it just a little on the darker side. So I go 238 at 100% power.
Okay. So the whole, I understand in practice how the whole power thing works, but I feel like I never get that right. You know, whenever you're upping the power on the microwave and all that.
Yeah, no, that's bogus.
Because mine is definitely default too high because I put popcorn in for a minute 45 seconds.
Wow.
Before it's burnt.
Is your microwave made in Chernobyl? What's going on?
Well, yeah. So it has this radiant. No, it's funny that you bring microwave up though, because mine actually broke the other night. The little sensor that senses whether the door is closed or not broke at about 4:45 in the morning when I was up feeding the pets, because that's what happens in my home.
So was this during the ice storm? So it's not like you could go out and get a new microwave, or what was this?
So here's the thing. This was post the ice storm. So this was the day after the ice storm. We're in Texas, so we've been frozen apparently for quite some time. I actually enjoyed being able to drive places because I can actually drive through this kind of mayhem, but that's a whole nother thing. I don't want to get sidetracked from the microwave story.
Add that to your bragging montage.
I know, right? So anyway, the microwave, the switchboard thing goes out, but it still technically works. You just have to close the microwave door a certain way. So it's one of those things. It's only going to hold up for so long before it's inevitably going to crap out on me. So I've got to do it. So I say that with saying not long ago, back in November, I bought a new mattress because we had our mattress for 8 years. It was incredibly uncomfortable. So we had to buy a new mattress. Well, it being during COVID time, all that kind of stuff is incredibly slow. So we waited 2 months to get our mattress.
Wow.
Okay. And so a buddy of mine recently bought a new microwave. So he still hasn't gotten said microwave.
Oh.
And we're going on probably about a month at least that he's been waiting for his microwave. So having had one bad experience on my own, plus hearing someone who needs to buy the same thing that I do, I have a feeling it's going to take me a while to get a new microwave.
Well, here's the thing. Both you and your friend need to stop shopping at Microwaves and Mattresses Emporium. Just pick one thing to specialize in.
We save so much money.
Yeah.
It's 38 cents off in baseball.
So pre-COVID, we bought a mattress sight unseen, just found one on Amazon, and it shipped in the narrow tube.
Yeah.
And, we had it in 3 days, and then you open the box and it, explodes like a wacky, wavy, inflatable arm man, and then you wait 2 days, and then you can sit on it.
I was terrified that you were going to say that you found a mattress somewhere, on the side of the road or something like that,
Man,
but you redeemed yourself really quickly. I was scared that's where that was headed.
I am embarrassed to say how many of those type mattresses younger Ben Baseball fell asleep on.
Fell asleep on / threw out yourself, I'm sure.
Just saying.
You never
Anyway. Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Outfielder Podcast. Like we said, we did a ton of loose prep work for the show, and I'm sure you're picking up on that.
I'm sure that people are excited about my microwave problem.
Or where to buy mattresses. Well, no, I think that just be on the lookout for a deal. You don't want to get zapped.
Look at that. Look at that. Let's give you an applause. just because we don't have the crickets on hand. Well, it's been a little bit since we've recorded, and that's like Ben Baseball posted a video on our social the other day. Mayhem around here. We had actually planned to record, and then so did you have power, Ben Baseball, last week?
Yeah, so we maintained power, but we lost water where all the pressure was gone, and we were on the boil notice for about 6 days.
Okay.
And then my parents, who live 2 miles from here, they had the rolling blackouts, and my in-laws had a pipe burst in their attic. So then they would come over to get water, and we'd like charge my mom's oxygen batteries, or we offered to at least. So it was like, how can we help those around us?
I was whenever you said that you were charging your mom's oxygen battery, well, I thought you the way that you came out of that, it made it sound like you were going to say, and we were charging people for water.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Like I was like, damn, just an opportunist. Well, we were pretty lucky with all that stuff. So, but it still was just kind of weird. Like the internet was kind of shitty and stuff like that. It just works out better to record over the computer instead of being in person, which actually is one of the things I dislike the most. That's become one of the things that I'm most sensitive about, is like the quality of audio and stuff like that with what we do. But just like whenever I hear it around me, I notice it too. And it's just always better when we're in the same room. It always is. And
you can argue, so is the content.
That's a good point. I guess we could have actually just gotten together and just, done it in the cold or something like that. But,
sit out in Justin's driveway.
I mean, you saw the commercial we made for the Outfielder last year. We had to go into like waist deep snow to do it, but that's right. It was well worth it. I'm sad that we didn't get to make a commercial this year.
Not yet, sir.
We'll
find a way. Life finds a way.
Let's try to get on that and figure that out. A little bit of an update from last episode. We talked about doing our top 20 baseball players of all time.
Yes. So
talk to Jimmy Midtown. He's definitely in. He's going to be here within the next couple of episodes. I'll talk to him and see when he's free. Perfect. And that way we can kind of lay out all the criteria and stuff like that. But he is absolutely in on the idea. And I think this will be one of the most fun things we've done, especially leading into the season.
Oh, for sure. It's going to be great. Plus, there's so many different ways to slice it. You know what I mean? Like there's, you could come up with the best 20, outfielders and have a team of all-stars.
Having done this before, I would recommend starting now because there's going to be a lot of tinkering.
Okay, that's fair.
The way that I kind of approach it, and we can talk about this further later on, is just I get as many people as I can think of on paper and then start to try to fill in. Okay, well, I know this one is going to be number one or whatever, however you want to build around, but just got to start getting guys down. And there's so many that you're going to forget about too.
Yeah. I'm full disclosure. I'm not going to name my favorite player, Michael Young, as one of the greatest players. And I'm just throwing it out there that won't happen.
Yeah.
Full
so
disclosure.
we need to have that discussion though of like, because like the thing to remember about these is it is our personal top 20 of all time. So how things factor in are important. And I think will be a big topic of discussion for why do you have this person here when they should be ish here. But I want to hear each of us defend those arguments and talk about why.
And for example, no offense to Michael Young, he is a Texas Ranger Hall of Famer, although not an MLB Hall of Famer. He would probably make the list of top 20 utility infielders of the last 50 years. I feel like that's a decent way of slicing it.
Boy, there are a lot of really talented guys that were just like sort of like just they sort of burned out quickly, I guess is the best way to put it.
So that's the thing is you got like career 300 average.
Right. Like, yeah. So I mean, how do you value that?
I value it well, but you're right. There are so many different ways to slice it.
Yeah. I was thinking about this yesterday. Do you remember how outraged we were whenever they put Josh Hamilton into the Texas Rangers Hall of Fame?
Oh my God. I'm so mad.
I'm still angry about how terrible that decision was. Just very, very infuriating. But yeah, so that's kind of the update on that. Jimmy's excited about it. I think it'll be good to kind of start filling that in because I mean we'll be here. So what is the official opening date? Have you looked at the dates?
Last I checked was April 1st. Now, of course, MLB, we'll see if anything weird happens COVID wise. Like that's always the big caveat.
Won't full steam ahead, pal.
I do think they're full steam ahead. I
Yeah.
totally think so. Yeah, Thursday, April the 1st is opening day this year.
Let's run over I put this in Slack the other day. What do we have the opening day schedule?
We had at least the first 4 games.
Yeah, for sure. I want the main primetime games. I think they were the ones that were on ESPN or the ones that we were looking at in our channel.
Yep. Here we go. It is
Bum, bum, bum. So we got Blue Jays, Yankees to kick it off. We've got Dodgers, Rockies. We've got Mets, Nationals, and White Sox, Angels. Those are some interesting matchups.
All of those games appeal to me. Not all of them appeal to me the same amount.
Agreed. I would 100%. That's a great way to say it because the Yankees, Blue Jays, that'll be a great game.
Yes.
That's a great first kickoff game for ESPN. And Dodgers, Rockies will be arguably terrible. Probably terrible.
Best case scenario, it'll be a medium.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're gonna have 2 teams that are just getting started, and I mean the Rockies just traded Nolan Arenado, so I mean you kind of understand where they are at this point. And so that's sort of a weird matchup. But I mean, opening day, anything could happen. That's the best thing about how long baseball is. It doesn't really matter if you lose opening day, kind of thing.
Right.
Mets, Nationals. I'm excited to see this iteration of the Mets.
Shoot. I think both those teams, that's the game that's giving me the most, that or the Yankees Toronto. Those are the 2 that I'm like, this is going to be a good day.
I'm not remotely interested in the Nationals.
I don't think that there's a chance that they're going to be nearly as good as they were 2 years ago when they won it all. But I give them credit. You know what I mean? I will be willing to take a second look given what they earned 2 years ago.
Crapped all over themselves last year, but hopefully I think they got a little bit younger and hopefully healthier too. So, I mean, it's not like they still don't have some of the best pitchers in the league, but it's just a matter of, I don't know, the rest of the offensive prowess. I don't know if that's really there with them yet. We'll see. It'll be interesting. And the one that probably intrigues me the most is the White Sox and Angels game. I mean, this is Tony La Russa's 1,500th game to coach or to manage. No, I don't. He's got to manage more than that.
I think the things that interest me about this game is you never know with the Angels. There's so many. Depending on where you look, the Angels are going to be, they're going to be your sleeper, your dark horse pick from the West, or oh my God, the Angels are going to be consistently hot garbage.
Yeah, not in this guy's opinion. I'll tell you, they're always bad. Period.
Well, right. And whereas we know Chicago, they almost made the playoffs last year. They might have made a wild card spot, but they were outperforming where they were supposed to be given where they're at in the rebuild. So I do like to see what the young White Sox team are going to have in store for them.
Yeah, I think that is, I mean, the whole idea of bringing Tony La Russa in, if you're going to do that, I mean, it seems like from what the players are saying, it's positive towards him so far. And I mean, this is a guy that knows how to go win, and you got to give him that, right? And it's a bold hire. And I mean, if he's willing to do it and put in the work with the young guys, and they're looking at this guy being like, this is fucking Tony La Russa. That awe factor kind of helps for those young dudes like that, and it gets weird whenever it's like a group, a clubhouse full of veterans, I guess, where it's a guy like that, where it's like, you either really have them or you really don't kind of thing. And he's good at letting that be and just staying out of the way and letting the talent show for itself, and then also getting the most out of that talent. So, I mean, it's a good hire for him. So they're going to be a really interesting team to watch.
Yeah. Yes, I did look it up. So number one, I agree with you. He's not as much of a tinkerer as some people. He'll let people grow. He'll also let people make their own mistakes.
Yeah.
He has managed, led, coached, whatever, 5,097 games.
I was only off by a fifth.
Of which 4 of them have been ties.
What? What?
I'm just saying, 4 of them ended in ties.
We need to research into that just a tad more.
Anyway, his win-loss record, it's a 536 winning percentage.
Pretty good. I mean, for 5,000 games, that's pretty good.
Two of the ties were with the 1980 White Sox.
Okay.
And the ties were...
Oh, boy.
Oh, you can get really deep.
Mm-hmm. Meta, as Sam would call it. I miss the great Sambino.
Me too. Man, I can't get into these. There we go. June 2nd, they tied with the Rangers.
Worth going down the rabbit hole on.
June 2nd, 1980 at Kaminsky Park. And it ended after the 6th.
So it was just like a rain out.
Yeah, but they had played 5, so they called it, I guess.
Yeah, because that's officially the cutoff point. Is there any chance that this screwed over Sam in fantasy?
Given that it was probably 6 years before Sam was born, I don't think so.
Okay.
But anything can happen because we've seen him argue with the concept of time.
Correct.
Oh my God. The other time that season that they tied was with the Rangers. The same darn thing. This was Saturday, July 26th, also at Kaminsky Park. They had another thing where they made it 6 innings and tied 1-1.
Huh. Well,
so
we got a lot of that.
2 teams tied each other in the same game. Or in the same season. Yeah.
That is interesting. Baseball's weird that way, though.
Yeah.
I mean, last time that we talked, we found out that there were seasons where there were several All-Star games.
Yeah, that's right.
That's absurd, is what that is. I just want to be on the record of saying that again. Anyway, good opening day matchups, I think. At least on ESPN. I don't know. I always think that the build-up around opening day and everything always feels really intense and exciting. It'll be interesting to see how that feels this year.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. I mean, I think about last year, like I barely watched the Red Sox, and that is so unlike, me, but it was only 60 games long. So it was hard to it was different where I can throw it on any given night throughout the summer and enjoy it, and
that's where, for me, I actually think I watched more of it last year. And,
really?
A couple different things. Couldn't go anywhere. Like we were in the height of lockdown and stuff.
Yeah.
But my phone carrier, as like a bonus, they gave me the MLB TV subscription as like a sign-on. So I could see every game except the Ranger games. So I watched so much like baseball that I normally wouldn't get to see. So a lot of like National League, a lot of West Coast, just things that wouldn't normally show up.
It's great to just throw it on in the background and, catch
absolutely.
It's
like, I'll catch 3 innings of, like you said, Rockies, Padres or whatever.
Exactly. And I think this year's going to be different. I think that there's going to be some excitement around it because a lot, like most all players, I would say, are playing.
Mm-hmm.
And, that buildup is exciting. There are, you've got teams like the Padres, you've got teams like the White Sox. I mean, you've got really big up and coming teams that people expect a lot of. The Dodgers are going to be a force to be reckoned with. They got even better this year somehow.
So ridiculous.
By signing Trevor Bauer, unfucking believable.
And they still don't have the highest payroll in baseball. I think they're like number 2.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. And the crazy, so we haven't recorded since the Trevor Bauer signing, right?
No, so we have a couple signings to go through. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just start there because I would like to regale you with a tale of Jimmy getting the rug yanked out from under him once again by the Mets.
Okay, tell me more.
So, Trevor Bauer, the day before he signed with the Dodgers, basically was in agreement with the Mets for the same exact deal, and then turn around, spun it, and went to LA instead.
So he used the Mets as a bargaining chip to get LA to pay what he wanted.
Yeah, which is very typical, number one.
Yeah.
But I felt bad. I mean, Jimmy explained it to me as that he didn't even have time to get excited about it before it was over. So, that's fine.
Dude, that's ridiculous. I mean, so their pitching staff is just something to reckon with, because like you still got Kershaw and Walker Buehler.
David Price.
Yeah, like David Price would be your 4, as he slid to 5.
He's probably your 3 to 4 guy.
I think Bauer would be 4 over Price.
Yeah.
No offense.
Oh, yeah. I think he. Yeah, I don't know, because the thing is, David Price was hurt, so and then he took a year off, so it's kind of hard to.
That's true.
Know where he's going to be. I mean, he may be as healthy as ever because hasn't played. So, that I guess that's the hardest part about what the Dodgers have to figure out is where do you put our 5th really good starter?
Well, yes, I'd argue though that with Bauer, there's some really other like off the field stuff that just, if we had Sam here and we were doing a POS corner, like I've been digging into some of this, and he has some considerable instances of social media bad interactions with female fans, and it's really problematic.
Can we talk about him?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let's save that let's do this free agent talk, and then we'll do a POS corner.
Okay, got it.
So, okay, so anyway, yeah, that pitching staff, and I mean, Kershaw's only 32, so like it's not like he's, like put out to pasture yet. As a matter of fact, he said as much just the other day at spring training. So
yeah.
they're looking really, really good on the pitching side of things. I mean, man, there's a lot to look forward to, I think. The Padres look absolutely unbelievable from start to finish.
Yeah.
Does this lead us into the Tatis Jr. talk?
I think it should.
Okay. So tell me about the deal. Do you want to go into it?
Yeah, let me grab it here.
You need to go over the specifics?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So he signed a 14-year, $340 million deal. Okay. So I'll break it down for you, because the way that I break this down is important. And I want you to think about where you were 14 years ago.
Oh God.
Think about how little you would have cared about a player signing a contract for 14 years that would lead you to this conversation right now. Okay.
So I was 19 and going to the University of Texas at Dallas, and I had just started a career in finance. No,
Yeah.
I hadn't even started. I was working at a Blockbuster.
Yeah. There. Yeah. So
that doesn't date that conversation.
Correct. That puts it in perfect perspective. Okay. I'm going to go the year by year money distribution because it's all about the average annual value, but I want you to think about how this contract is loaded. Okay. $1 million in 2021. He'll make $5 million in 2022, $7 million in 23, $11 million in 24, $20 million a piece in 25 and 26,
God.
$25 million in 27 and 28, then $36 million a year from 2029 to 2034.
Good night.
That is unbelievable. That's not really that backloaded either. I mean, it is, but not. I mean, it's cheap now, but they had to buy out his arbitration years too in it. So those are going to be low no matter what.
Man.
$36 million from 2029 to 2034.
How old will he be then?
So let's see. I forget, because that'll put him through his age 35 season.
Oh my God.
22 years old. So oh, and by the way, there's no trade clause, full no trade clause. Like he has to approve of the trade or no dice.
That's
so
nuts.
And it's obviously fully guaranteed. That's insane. That is incredible. But I always think about this too. Think about the A-Rod deal, right? That was 10 years, what?
350.
250? Oh yeah, and a quarter bill. Yeah, okay. So think about that and how by the time we got to year 7 or 8, how that seemed not cheap, but not the highest in the league anymore.
Yeah,
What
so
this is gonna be.
that's what's interesting about this one is because it plateaus at the end. Like it plateaus high now, but if we're talking what 20, 30 money, like we don't necessarily know, but presuming there's productivity.
I mean, yeah. And you think about the fact that Mookie signed for 12 years, 365, and that's Mookie Betts, who has a World Series ring.
Yeah.
And is an incredibly talented baseball player. That is a kind of player, and I'm not even saying this as biased because I think the same thing about like Mike Trout. That's the kind of guy that you go all in on. And this either is going to end up being like Manny Ramirez, or it's going to be a complete and utter disaster.
I see that. I think it's interesting though because you brought up Betts. The Red Sox only let him walk because of money, right? Like it wasn't anything else.
Yeah, because they weren't going to come to. Well, they traded him because they weren't going to come to terms on a deal.
That's right.
Because they were over the luxury tax because they're assholes and they don't want to pay the tax. I understand why they don't want to pay the tax, but it's still absurd. You let a generational talent walk out the door, basically. So that's confusing to me in that term, but it's an investment for the Dodgers and it makes sense.
Well, yeah, it definitely makes sense for Los Angeles. And when was the last time the Red Sox won the World Series?
2018.
2018. So he has 2 rings now.
Right. Oh yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Even more so. I wasn't even thinking about that. So, I mean, this is for a dude. I mean, he's an incredible. Let's look at his numbers here real quick. I mean, he's like I said, he's 22 years old. Just thinking about signing that young of a dude to that kind of scratch is insane. Okay, so for his career, so he's been in the league since 2019. He has a 7 WAR. He's had 558 at bats, 168 hits, 39 home runs, has a batting average of 301. Again, this is career. 111 runs, 98 RBIs, 27 stolen bases. That's a lot of stolen bases.
Yeah.
An on-base percentage of 374, slugging of 582, an OPS of 956. That's pretty good. But that's a lot of money for what we hope will happen.
I mean, is it an investment? Is it like wager? Like, I mean, it's kind of, what do you think?
It's a little bit of both, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a up and coming guy that hasn't even really reached his ceiling yet. And you really don't want to get to a situation. I mean, he was arbitration eligible in 2022, so you had one more year to try to get a deal done before you have to start getting arbiters involved and ultimately becomes a free agent 3 years later. And it's just worth trying to get it done because in these 14 years, they're buying out those arbitration years that they wouldn't have before. So really and truly, this contract starts early, but it kind of actually starts in 2025.
Yeah.
Which is why you see it escalate like
right.
it.
And that's why it continues to increase and increase and increase the way it does.
But my gut feeling is that they think that will be chump change by that point in time, which I don't necessarily disagree with. That's actually signed. It's sort of like how the Braves signed Acuna to like a really good like 7 or 8 year deal. I forget exactly what the exact specifics were on it, but it was like $100 million over that time, which sounds great, but it was very, very like incentive laden and structured. And
when you chop it, divided by 8 or whatever.
Right. And then you have like, and And then like basically you start to exceed the contract and the value of said contract. I mean, teams get a great deal on that, and I don't know that that's not what's happening here, but the numbers feel mind blowing. But if you think about those years of arbitration that they have to buy out, and when I say arbitration, that just means so in the way that so everything's based on service time. So once they've had 2 years up, then they basically are staying in the major leagues until they,
Right.
And so they have, as a free agent in their first contract, players have the option to come to an agreement with the team, which is kind of what's happened here, or, on a contract, on a long-term extension, or you can basically say, okay, this is what I think I'm worth. This is what the team wants to pay. And there's an actual person that's independent of both that makes the decision on what ends up happening, and the player accepts it no matter what. And so that's kind of how those years work up until, so you basically have 3 years of that. And so it behooves you to get a deal worked out, but it just doesn't usually happen. And usually the team comes to some sort of general the team and the player come to some general consensus to where they got at least something done for that amount of time. But as it escalates, it gets higher and higher. It gets harder to see that. And that's exactly what happened with Mookie Betts, where his last arbitration year was like 19 or he was either 19 or 21 million for that season alone. And it's like,
Right.
if we get a deal done, we're paying way more for this asset versus
Market value.
Right. The market value matters here. And so it behooves all sides to do it this way, but it can really hinder free agency if a guy really wants out of there, is the crappy part about it.
Dude, you just used the word. So first off, great way of breaking it down. Second off, you just used the word behooves twice earnestly in the last 2.5 minutes. So well done.
Yes. Oh man, Sam would be proud of that.
Oh my Lord.
Good pickup. Didn't know I said it once.
Yeah, no, that's the type of crap that I listen for.
I was going to say, that's right, people. I don't listen to me either. Anyway, so it really makes sense for the team, I think, here. It's a lot of money, but it may not really be a lot of money down the road.
Right. You pay a little more now. You're willing to take the risk on it. Plus, with a young guy, hopefully, maybe not a once-in-a-generation talent, but definitely something special.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And the funny thing is, it's not even really. I would equate it more to like kicking the can down the road,
right,
on something, and it, instead of really just trying to drag through it, you just make it happen. So I don't know. That's a later Padres problem, I guess. And when they're bad again after their hopeful World Series run, then you got to deal with that. It's exactly what I've been living through for 2 years now.
Yeah, I mean it's the major league embodiment of that's future me's problem.
Correct. I mean, I was riding high whenever we had that Red Sox team, everything, knowing it was, and I was well aware that it was all going to come crashing down and burning at some point in time, and it did.
Yep,
sure did. And that's just how it goes. And so they're betting on that. They're betting on the future, and that's not they've got the talent to do it. I don't think it's a bad time to do it. I think it's funny that it makes. What did Bryce Harper sign for? What did that end up being? I know it was 14 years, I'm pretty sure. Might have been 12 years.
Bryce Harper's deal, 13-year, $330 million.
Boy, you get 14 years and 350. That's crazy.
Just the amount of money being thrown around.
Remember when a topic on this show was the $500 million contract?
Yeah.
And I remember saying at the time, it's not going to seem like much at some point. The average annual value is what matters here. So it's, I mean, here we are. And I mean, the numbers are only going to get bigger, I think.
Yeah, because what brought us there was March 2019. Trout signed the largest contract in sports history at the time, and it was worth $426.5 million.
So he's still the highest paid.
In baseball, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Patrick Mahomes in football signed a bigger one.
Yeah,
it was a 12-year deal that Trout got.
12 years, 426.
Yep.
Boy, pretty good.
A lot of fish.
A lot of fish, a lot of trout. It's such a shame too, because it's such a like, I don't know. I would much rather go to a Dodgers game if I'm in LA.
Yeah.
But it is a cool ballpark and everything. I don't know. It's just, they're kind of like the underdogs in a way there.
Yeah, we've talked about it. Cities where you have 2 teams. So in
Yeah.
MLB, you have New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago are your big ones.
Yeah. I
It's
mean,
like
there's always that team.
every one of those cities has like their scrappy underdog. I
Yeah.
guess you go with Giants, Oakland's technically.
Yeah, no, that's a weird. Nobody in NorCal actually gives a shit. That's kind of the weird thing about it.
Right, but people in Oakland do.
Yeah,
In
kinda.
that bubble, I'm saying, in
Yeah.
the little like Berkeley, like that area,
That
you got
guy,
some people. Yeah,
that guy back there, the A's fan in the room.
fake J-Mac cardboard cutout.
One of the best things I've ever invested in.
All right, I'm going to give you a couple of names. Tell me who you want to go
All right.
talk a little bit more about.
Let's go.
So we have Steven Matz to the Blue Jays from the Mets. Cubs signing Jacques Peterson.
I'd much rather laugh at the fact that the Cubs signed Jake Arrieta again.
Okay.
That guy.
What about
Thanks.
Cleveland signing Eddie Rosario, 1 year, $8 million?
So that was part of the Lindor trade, and that I think he's actually a pretty good player.
Yeah.
It's only a 1 year deal though.
Yeah, it's a 1 year deal to Cleveland.
What are okay, so another one I saw, your boy Brett Gardner is coming back to the Yankees for another year. Are you excited about that?
Is he the guy with the big head?
Yeah, he's the one that looks
neck.
like a penis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hang on. I got it. This is worth.
Oh, we put it on the screen.
No, I'm not. I'm just pulling. Yeah, he's like a.
He's just the worst. He's a big enemy of this show.
We have a lot, but God, he's 37.
Yeah, he's 37 and terrible.
Oh. I mean, I don't wish him ill will as a human. Like, I wish him nothing but the best. But as a ball player, God, the dude. Ugh.
You said nothing, but you said it all right there.
I know.
I get it. I'm with you.
He looks like he does chin-ups with his actual chin.
Dude, yeah, he really does. He those neck muscles are unmatched. It's just got steroids written all over it.
It's bigger than my thighs.
I know, it's insane. It really is. Remember his whole thing about slamming the bat up against the top of the dugout?
Oh my God.
It used to piss me off so bad.
His own stadium.
Yeah, in his own ballpark. Yeah, he got thrown out of a couple games for it.
All right. Another name, Didi Gregorius. All right. We have Nolan Arenado, Rockies to the Cardinals.
Oh my God, dude, that's so heartbreaking. He's one of my favorite baseball players. I've been on him. I mean, Sam and I've been talking about him since we started this show, really.
Yeah.
I hate the Cardinals so much, but I'm happy for him because he's a good player. They're a good team, but I just hate the Cardinals so much.
I love that you're saying I hate the Cardinals. The first name we brought up on the show today was Tony La Russa. The first name.
I mean, I don't feel any differently.
Okay.
Do we want to talk about the drunk driving incident? We can talk about it if you'd like to talk about it.
We don't have to.
Okay.
What about Chris Archer?
Yeah. Where'd he sign?
To the Rays, 1 year, $6.5.
Okay, so that was an arbitration deal for sure because he's still there. He's been there.
Okay. Then we have the Twins are keeping Nelson Cruz.
That surprised me. It didn't seem like they were going to bring him back. How old is that guy now? 38?
It says
Gotta be
God, 41.
41? I thought he was old.
Jeez, 13 mil this year.
Man, steroids are a hell of a thing, aren't they?
Oh, allegedly.
No, not allegedly. He got caught. He got suspended.
I'm just
for a full season.
Allegedly.
The Rangers should have brought him back, though.
No.
Yes, they should have brought him back. It didn't matter. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. Especially because he was in Baltimore. But nobody really cared.
Okay.
Everybody knew. I mean, look at the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, considering what he's still doing. So speaking of the Rangers, though, how do you feel about the end of the Elvis Andrus era?
Man, so like, all right, let's talk about this because Elvis, I like as a dude. I think that he was good in the clubhouse. He was around a lot. I think the stat I saw is the last time that the Rangers didn't have Elvis on opening day, Hank Blaylock was still in the league.
Dude, I saw that whole list of players that were in the league at that point in time, and it was very, very strange.
Yeah. Anyway, the point I'm making is good for him. I hope he moves on. He'll probably do better than he would have here. Same thing that happened with freaking Kinsler.
Yeah. Kinsler was really good in Texas, though.
He was, and then we thought he had peaked, and so then he went elsewhere, but then he did well in Los Angeles, of all places, with the Angels.
And he won a ring in Boston, too.
Yeah, so, like, you know what I mean? The Rangers, we cut the wrong people early, and we keep the wrong people late.
So, first of all, Kinsler was traded for Prince Fielder, though. So, I mean,
Fielder, we got 6 months of baseball out of before his neck fell off.
Sure, but at the time, that wasn't. I mean, that was. Anybody who's anybody knew that dude was going to fall apart. It just nobody knew it was going to be that fast, and I feel bad for that guy because I hated it on him more than just about anybody. His belly slide into third base is one of my favorite moments of the ALCS in 2013. One of my favorite moments I've ever witnessed in baseball because he just wasn't even close to the base. We've been over this 100 times. But I actually like the dude. I actually liked him a lot when he came to Texas. And I felt bad because he was definitely heartbroken that he couldn't play the game anymore. That stinks.
100%. Yes, I agree with that. Yes.
But from a full transactional standpoint, the Rangers lost in that trade, kind of, other than the fact that insurance paid for that whole contract.
Well, that's the caveat there is monetarily they didn't lose out, but from a baseball production standpoint, I'm sure they would have rather paid money and had a better team because that was still when they were maybe not contenders, but they were at least in the hunt.
Okay, so let's look at this real quick because I am curious of what they got out of him. So
out of Fielder or out of Andrus?
Out of Fielder real quick. So he played 162 games in 2011, 2012, and 2013. So he played every game.
Really?
Yeah, which is first of all, unbelievable. Second of all, a lot of wear and tear on the body, just in general. His first year in Texas, it was 42 games, but that was the year that every single person on that team was hurt.
Yeah.
And then he played in 158 games in 2018, in 2015, and 89 games in 2016. So of that 2015 year, let's just look at that since he played the most. He batted 305, on base 378, slugged 463, so an OPS of 841. That's not. It's. I mean, if you compare it up against what Kinsler did, I mean, I guess.
So yeah, 15 Fielder versus 15 Kinsler.
Let's see. So 15 Kinsler, he batted 296, so pretty similar. Was on base 342, slugged 428, had an OPS of 770. So it was actually a little worse.
But does it say runs scored?
Yes. Let's see.
Because I'd be interested in, yes, those are the numbers, but like productive gains.
So 94 runs for Kinsler.
Okay.
11 home runs.
Okay.
73 RBIs.
Okay.
Okay. And Prince Fielder was 187 hits.
Okay.
78 runs.
Okay.
98 RBIs. 23 home runs. And this may surprise you, 0 stolen bases.
What?
Whoa.
Okay.
So pretty comparable, honestly. But that's 1 year. You got more out of it. Kinsler for another 2 years or so, I think, is how that ended up. Anyway,
right.
It's a risk. Like they don't always all work out, unfortunately. So anyway, all that to say, I mean, Elvis Andrews was around for a long time and was a big piece of that place, but it was probably time to get him out of there.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't. So I do want to get your take on this because everybody seemed to be really pissy about trading with your own division. Who cares?
I don't think anymore. I think that's still old timers, the people who are allowed to vote in the MLB in the
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame voting. That's who's mad about that. I did pull up that list, by the way, of everyone who was on the Rangers the last time. So
Okay.
their opening day roster, this was from 2008.
Okay.
Catcher was Laird, first baseman Brassard, second baseman Kinsler in his third season, third baseman Blaylock, shortstop Michael Young, left fielder David Murphy, center fielder Josh Hamilton, right fielder Bird.
Marlon Bird?
I think so. Let's see. Yeah, Marlon Bird.
Holy Jesus. Interesting. That was the core of that Young team, though, already.
Because you had I think Kinsler and Andrews like together, plus with Hamilton, Cruz, Young, Beltre, like that was
Beltre there quite yet at that time, but
yeah,
it wasn't long. I think it was 2008, 2009 that he came there, something like that.
Yeah. Beltre 2011 was when he was a starter, but I think he
started with the Red Sox.
he was with Dodgers, Seattle, Boston in 10, Texas in 11.
Yeah. They just didn't have a place for him in Boston, unfortunately, that time.
We were happy to take him.
Yeah, well, that was that year where they had the highest payroll in baseball. They won the most games by a long shot and then fucked around in September and missed the playoffs.
That September meltdown is one of the – so that would have been 2010, I think. The September Boston,
horrible.
You cannot imagine, like – so full disclosure, Justin and I didn't know each other then, but like even in my limited baseball exposure in 2010, I remember watching that thinking, what the heck is going on in Boston?
They imploded. It was one of the worst things I've ever seen. They went like 7-23 that
Yeah, I honestly think it was 5-23. It was what it was. Just some ridiculously bad thing, and they just missed the playoffs. And I think I don't know this, but I think it was the Yankees too that like was the final nail in the coffin.
It was. Oh, dude, it was so terrible. Like I remember it was like I remember just kind of watching it all dissipate and everything. You know, the lead in the AL East and the league in general just dissipate. And I remember it was like a week before it all played out, and my roommate at the time and I were sitting there watching Sports Center because we watched Sports Center at this time, and he just turns to look to me and just goes, "You know they could miss the playoffs, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm aware of that. Shut the fuck up, man." And they did, and it was. Dude, that was brutal. It was one of the worst things I've ever seen in any team.
It was not good.
Not good at all, my friend. Not good. Well, I think it's good for him, though. I think they need to move on from it, though. They need to continue to get younger at this point. That's all they need to do. They should trade Joey Gallo. They should trade everything that they can.
Dude, just burn it down.
Just burn it. Burn it. I think they're there, though. I think that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah. Well, any other signings you want to talk about before we pivot to Trevor Bauer 2.0?
Yeah, one other note right there. I bet you that they trade Joey Gallo by the trade deadline this year. That'll be one of my season predictions.
I hope so.
Yeah. I can't wait to do our season predictions just in general. We'll make sure to have Sam back for that at least.
Oh, absolutely. 110%.
All right, let's do this POS quarter. Let's do it.
This is Paul Ramham from WBAT in Cincinnati. We interrupt this regular scheduled programming to bring you this breaking news bulletin. It appears that people have been called pieces of shit from around the globe. Baseball players in particular seem to be the main target. However, no person, concept, or universe is exempt from this cruel but very usual punishment. The perpetrator has been identified as the great
Ben Baseball.
Police have confirmed that he is still at large and about to take his piece of shit corner.
Ding, ding, ding. Huge piece of shit.
All right. Welcome to the POS corner.
I missed
Without Sam. But man, I have missed this too. So full disclosure, my source on this is initially from the New York Post, who I do not support. but they're the ones who at least were talking about it most recently. And it was in that same time whenever the Mets were trying to negotiate with Bauer, and then Bauer used them to get his deal with the Dodgers. So the whole concept of this article was around, hey, look, the Mets shouldn't go near this guy. So this was written by Kevin Davidoff, Jan 23rd of 2011. But basically boils down to, hey, look, understand Trevor Bauer's a POS. For example, in 2019, Bauer was in a Twitter battle with some random female college student.
That I believe.
It started out with trash talk, but it escalated into Bauer, 414,000 Twitter followers, go back and like Twitter stalking the woman to find a picture of her drinking alcohol before her 21st birthday and putting it on his social media. And then his fans like going after her. And within the course of 3 days, like disparaging her publicly 17 times or discussing her to like other people.
When was this?
This was in 2019, January.
Gotcha. Pretty unacceptable. Not cool. Not surprising. Definitely not cool.
Yes. Furthermore, we didn't know this when we brought up Bauer and Twitter today, but he is in a battle right now with Syndergaard. And so, like, you know, he's been on the Dodgers for, what, a week and a half, and he's already, like, getting into it with people and being a distraction. Like, I don't care if the managers are saying his work ethic is great. Like, this does not demonstrate to me solid work ethic.
Yeah, I mean, I'll preface this with saying he can do whatever he wants. I don't care. It really doesn't matter to me one way or the other. But I get, for the sake of conversation, I think the bigger conversation is around what does that constitute as a leader and someone that people should look up to, or is he sort of like a master troll-ish a little bit? I mean, that's really what the question is. Is this all like? It's really hard to tell, I guess, the fabric of someone by, you know, what they do on social media and shit like that. But it's also kind of easy to see kind of quickly what kind of person someone like that is.
Yeah, I would say certainly not leader, definitely in the category of total jackwagon.
But I mean, he's done this the last couple of seasons where he's been a distraction for various reasons.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, he's won a Cy Young, and he's one of the best pitchers in the league. And I'm not saying that winning, you know, trumps everything else. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm kind of saying that because I think that's how teams look at it.
But here's the thing. I mean, sure, Roman Polanski made Rosemary's Baby or whatever, but he's still a fucking pedophile.
I did not think we were going to talk about Roman Polanski on the podcast.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, no, your choices have consequences.
Sure. Yeah, no. I'm not saying they don't, but I mean, in this odd world that he seems to be living in, it doesn't seem to have consequences, really.
Let me edit my last sentence for the lawyers. He was charged with some sort of criminal something with a minor. Look it up. It's alleged. I'm not saying anything happened or didn't happen.
You just work here.
That's right. Yes.
You just report the news. Yeah, no, I'm not. I mean, look into it for yourselves, research all this. I 100%, you know, I do find where I find it odd is that it is a continuous distraction, seemingly. But I mean, is it? And the clever thing about his contract is that he has opt-out years after every single year. So, yeah. I mean, worst case is the team will just come to him and say, you know what, you can go, and he can go, and someone else will sign him, or he'll just fizzle out of the league.
Well, someone will sign him.
Oh, for sure. No doubt. I mean, if he has value.
Asuna, like, someone will sign him.
Well, the Dodgers won't let him go unless he doesn't have value.
Okay.
Value on the field, I mean. If say he's hurt.
No, yeah, I know what you're saying, yeah.
Then why pay for the distraction at that point?
Right. Okay. Well, if that winds up the POS, do you have time for a pick-me-up little bit of a story?
Absolutely. I always do.
So this is an opinion piece from CBS, and it's the baseball rivalries to watch this year. So the top 5 rivalries for this season. So given the past couple of years. Number 5, Dodgers Braves.
Yes, that'll be a good rivalry.
Yeah.
Those are two very different teams, but both have a lot going for them.
Yeah. Plus, it would be a rematch of, like the NLCS, potentially late season if they do it again. Like, a lot of good stuff, Dodgers Braves. So I would watch that game. Next one. Go ahead.
No, I said okay.
Yeah.
I'm on
Another
board.
team we've talked about today, the White Sox versus the Twins.
Interesting. I could see that. That's a good kind of North Midwest,
So they're both
there.
they're both AL Central teams, and I think that Cleveland's window is closed. Like, I'd be willing to say that. So therefore, the Twins were the powerhouse in that division with the White Sox on their heels.
Right. Yeah, I would say so. I think the White Sox might be a little bit better, but I'm not sure. This iteration of the Twins will be very interesting.
Well,
with 41 years old Nelson Cruz.
That's where, for me, it's like I'm more bullish on the White Sox, but they also are a more unknown commodity.
Correct. We'll see. A lot to see here.
So anyway,
Okay.
Number 3, the Braves again, and the Mets.
That is a good. Yeah, that's going to be a good one for sure.
Yep.
That's a great little division rivalry too.
Yes, I think Syndergaard coming back is going to be huge for the Mets.
Yep.
Potentially.
As long as he can stay healthy.
That's the goal.
Yep.
All right. Number 2, we
Wait a
get
minute.
a little.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Is that also an ode to your own fantasy team? Is that what's happening here?
I was alluding to it. Yes.
Okay. I just didn't want it to go by unsaid.
Yeah. You don't join a league and immediately keep a keeper for a year who doesn't play if you're not bullish on him.
I didn't. Yeah. We'll get into fantasy next week because it's, yeah.
And then draft way too many people that had just tested positive for COVID. Good for me.
So many COVID patients. It was unbelievable.
I really should have turned off that filter.
Yeah, you should have. Okay.
All right. Second, according to CBS's MLB Sports Writers, the second most exciting rivalry this year. This one's coming from the AL East, the Rays and the Yankees.
Yeah. See, I think the Rays and the Blue Jays are going to be the Yankees are more of a proven commodity.
Yep.
To put it in your terms, but I think that'll be a better rivalry.
Well, and that's where, given how last year went, I could see Toronto doing really well, but they at least feel on the surface, and disclosure, I haven't done my digging, they feel more like a 500 club.
Okay. Okay, we'll see.
Yep. Plus, I think the Yankees, they were hurt a lot last year, and I don't think that they're going to be as hurt this year.
Yeah, I don't know. Giancarlo Stanton can't stay healthy. And yeah, I really, they're going to be a really good team. I don't know how great they're going to be.
Yeah,
we'll see. I need to do more research too, though. So,
all right. And then the number 1 rivalry to look forward to this year, according to CBS MLB.
Let me think. Hold on.
Guess?
Yeah, I want to see if I can guess it. It's got to involve the Cardinals.
Okay.
Am I right about that?
Nope.
No? Wow. Okay.
You got the league right, but you got the division wrong.
Well, that's,
Go West, young man.
Yeah, I was going to say, so it's got to be like the Dodgers. Oh, the Padres.
Yep.
And the Dodgers?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. That's going to be so boring, dude. It's going to be way more boring than you think it's going to be.
Why?
Oh, I don't know. It always is. Those kinds of things always seem so overhyped in baseball, and they're just not that great.
I think it's actually great. I think that you're just used to the central time zone. So when it's like when it's West Coast baseball, you're like, oh, it's about 1:30. Let me go to bed.
Trying to go to bed, dude. Yeah, that's a very good point. All right. Maybe so. Those types of things always seem too good to be true whenever those kinds of rivalries heat up and then they end up being lame somehow or another. Or
I
like
hear that.
Like the Red Sox and Yankees did this a couple years ago where they just split the season where they were just like, God, It's just not even really that exciting anymore.
Well, you build it up to have it go 500, and you're like, great.
Right.
Well,
Awesome.
things to not get excited about. Rangers opening day opponent, the Kansas City Royals.
Ooh, Andrew Benintendi's new team. You're going to be looking for that.
Yeah, I think it'll be a snooze fest, but not as big of a snooze fest as April 1st, 2021, when at Fenway Park, Boston plays host to the Baltimore Orioles.
They'll win that. They have the opportunity to be okay, but their division.
They have the opportunity to be okay. What are you saying?
I'm saying that their division is way too competitive for them to actually compete, but they have an opportunity not to be absolutely embarrassing.
Okay.
But they'll probably still be pretty bad.
There you go. Now you're drinking the Kool-Aid. That's where I'm at too. Like Texas, Boston, you know what? The T on my hat and the B on your hat, they'll look just as good next year too.
Exactly. I'm excited to have Alex Cora back. I know that seems like a taboo thing to say, but I'm
Stop
actually very excited
Get
about
out. Leave the podcast room.
Never.
Well, if you like what you're hearing, make sure to check us out. We're at sensiblyloud.com. Plus, we're all over social media. That's right, on Facebook, on Instagram. We're even on the good old Twitter. We can interact with us on these shows. They are recorded, and we put them up on YouTube as well. Plus, wherever you get your podcast, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. I want to give huge props to J-Mac for producing this and all 104,000 other episodes that we have done. Y'all, thank you so much for listening.
We'd like to thank everyone for tuning in for episode 135 of the Outfielder podcast. We'd like to thank all of our fans, Sensibly Loud Media, our sponsors, and those with the sharp eye to keep the runners close. Grounds crew, please keep patrolling that outfield. Big ups to Kevin Towers. Don't text and drive. We'll see you right back here next time on the Outfielder podcast.
Get to what you down. We live by understanding that the world